Well, good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari. Thank God it's Friday. Don't know. Can't help myself. I always say that on Friday. Mr. Seyi Adeyemo, journalist, publisher, IWA Magazine, Inside Watch Africa. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me on your program.
Our pleasure. And Mr. Jide Ologun, legal practitioner, public affairs analyst. A fine morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Well, let me just leave that out of it. I was going to talk about the fasting, but let me just leave that out of it. Anyhow, an interesting topic today, because as you know, the Electoral Act, there was quite a tease when the president signed it into law. But as you all know, very, very shortly after, the executive branch of government seems to be having a rethink, and they've taken the matter. The Attorney General has taken hold of the matter. The long and short of it is that section 8412, which does say that, look, you've got to give up your job if you are in a government appointee and you have electoral aspirations. You can't do the two at the same time. Let go of one for the other. Clearly, the executive felt that this was going to disenfranchise a lot of people, whatever. So they've now started, but the National Assembly is fighting back. That indeed is our story today. The National Assembly, as you found out in the news, is fighting back. We'll be speaking with the Senate spokesman later on. But in the meantime, coming to you, the law, this 8412 business. First of all, do you accept, does it meet with your approval? Is it the kind of thing you expected, that the National Assembly should indeed fight back? Because I know that they're livid. They're livid with, no, this is playing games with us. You can't devalue us like this.
Basically, if you look at Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution as amended, it says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of Nigeria. And by virtue of that mandate, they are in charge of making laws and amending our laws. And I believe the President of the Senate was not happy when the executive now rose to say, okay, we are going to make you to expunge this particular amendment that you have made, and pointing to the fact that we have separation of powers. And of course, before the president finally signed the bill into law, he could have sent it back to the National Assembly via virtue to say, okay, expunge this. But he went ahead, only advised that you reconsider this. And the National Assembly took a position that even if we are going to amend, it has to go through the process. But the Attorney General of the Federation came up to say that they were going to challenge that particular provision, and somehow a party went to court, and the court that does not have power to make laws but to interpret law and can nullify came up to say that provision is contrary to some provisions of the Constitution. But then, for those who have taken critical look, the reference made to the Constitution, it's, if you talk about Section 66, Section 107, 137, and 182, talking about civil officers who want to contest in elections must resign at least 30 days before the elections. But civil servants are different from political appointees. Political appointees are at the direct prerogative of the executive. So, and what Section 84 subsection 12 of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended is saying is that as a political appointee, for you to come as delegate or to present yourself as a candidate, you must resign at least before you can do that. And if you look at Section 29 of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, it says that parties must conclude their primaries at least 180 days before election. So if these political appointees, talking about ministers, commissioners, resign, what would they be doing? Because that is one of the arguments. You see, it's juicy to be a political appointee in Nigeria. So it's a high risk for them. But I think on the scale of good governance, if you are going for another office, then leave the one you are so that you can focus and you don't use the paraphernalia of that political office to go and intimidate during the primaries. But then APC even sent out a caution that please, political appointees, don't come except as observers during the recent Congress or convention. Yes. So I think the matter is clear, but now a court has spoken that particular clause should be expunged. And the National Assembly is saying, no, we are going to appeal that decision of the court.
It will be interesting to see how they're going to go about it, because they must go about it by way of the law anyway.
Absolutely.
They must go. And APC, for its part, it seems to me that it's been complying, as he was saying. Fine, is this the state now? So that advisory was put out. Don't come except as an observer, etc., etc. But here we are. The National Assembly has decided that no, this is virtually egg on our face, and we can't just let this pass. Now, many people who might be ordinary Nigerian thinkers wouldn't have found very much wrong with the matter of Section 8412 and its provisions. Yeah, if you're serious, if you think you're serious, don't go into the electoral arena still holding the job that you have. Just go ahead and let go of it. That was the way the ordinary person was seeing it. Now the law is intervening. It was the law, first of all, that's what you must consider the National Assembly as. And all these things too are going by way of the law. But the part that Attorney General Malami is playing in all of this is what has kept the conversation buzzing.
Okay, I mean, without a doubt, I think since he's been in office, is someone that I've sort of had all sorts of controversy around him. I mean, that's the truth. He's always had issues of, oh, this is what the law says, and people will say, no, that's not what the law says, and all of that. But for me, at the end of the day, the people of Nigeria are the most important. So how does this impact on getting us the best people into office? I think that's the most important thing for Nigerians. And whenever we engage in things like this, we're saying, so at the end of the day, will this influence the fact that we're able to get everyone who goes into that contest to ensure that they play rightly, and at the end of the day we're able to get the best out of them? Because for me, that's our concern. Because I mean, the lawyer here have just explained to us that by law, that's the right thing to do. But at the end of the day, is it fair for you to use your influence as a political holder, office holder, to sort of make us do what we don't want to do? Because at the end of the day, like he rightly pointed out, it's a very juicy thing to because you have influence, you have money, you have access to a lot of things. At the end of the day, you most often wrongly influence people to tilt towards your side, and that for me is something we all must engage properly and sort of discuss, so that at the end of the day, Nigerians are not disenfranchised at the end of the day, and we get the best out of this whole deal.
Because as they say, the law is an ass. I mean no disrespect, but the law is what it is, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. If it is the law, that is what we shall, have to go by. So there is that to it, but there's also the matter of fairness. Now, it seems to me that this issue of fairness, a word that you lawyers use a lot, equity, this thing, it looks like the parameters for equity or fairness are different to the executive and the general public at large, who, not being trained legal minds, just look at things based on the common sense and the logic of it. Now, right now, it's causing all sorts of havoc in the sense that, look, depending on how much you want to believe of what you read in the press, even the Minister of Transportation, Amechi, he's reported to be interested, but has had to put all of that on hold, if you can believe that. We are hearing that when the time comes, the right thing will be done. Well, clearly, the right thing is not to go and throw your hat in the ring, because you're going to have to step down. Maybe your Minister of State is going to take over, or the President will appoint another one, whatever be the case. So these are the kind of situations. But we hear that in more than a handful of places. For instance, the staff of the deputy, the Senate President? Yeah, he's advised his staff to please submit their resignation. Same thing with the Senate President.
Yeah, the President of the Senate has done the same also.
So they are going by what we have now, but they still are fighting it. And we'll be hearing from Senator Bashiru, later on, what exactly it is. But this whole matter about the conflict sometimes between how those in charge of our affairs see fairness and the executive, because the president signed that thing. If you're not going to sign, don't sign. You can't be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. So what is this whole matter? You signed it, but with an understanding that I will sign it, you will go, you will do something, and then you come back to me, I'll sign that one again. It's a bit cumbersome, isn't it?
You see, by and large, let's look at the legal framework that we have in terms of laws. We have the Constitution, we have the acts of the National Assembly, legislation. Then you have the common law, which are decisions of the courts. And you have, of course, backup regulations. And now, this has been passed into law. If you are going to amend it, let it go back to the National Assembly that has the prerogative. But the court also can interpret and nullify. But when you are trying to do that, hinge it on the true position of the law. And that's why I stated earlier, with all due respect, there is a clear distinction between a political appointee and a civil servant, even by the Constitution. If you look at Section 318 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. Having said that, the role of equity is to prevent miscarriage of justice. You see, it does not in any way cancel the position of the law per se. And if you look at the concept of good governance, which is the engagement of resources to create commonwealth for common good, then when you are in office, your interest should be the interest of the people. And what is the main aim of the new Electoral Act? To make democracy more robust in Nigeria. All right? And I expect that as a political appointee, if your interest is that of the people, it should not be difficult for you to resign and go out there and be active. Because if you go to a precedent, look at what happened in Osun State. Even before convention, look at how Aregbesola, the minister, went to that state to rock the boat using paraphernalia of office. So for how long do you engage state resources to influence the political processes? So you either make a choice. I was reading a report. A Congress person in the US decided that she would be leaving the Congress to go back to the state level because there are more needs at the state level. So can a political appointee at the federal level decide to go and play politics at the local government level because you want to help the people? So if it's about the interest of the people, it should be easy for you to resign. It means leave our official cars, leave the allowance, leave the security apparatus, go back as a politician, go and spend your resources.
Now that is,
you see, and that is why, like, it's not even only Amechi that is reported to have the ambition of going for a higher office. Even the Attorney General of the Federation is reported to be interested in the governorship of his state, Kebbi State.
And let him leave the Attorney General's position.
Ngige also. So leave the office.
Ngige has said he
leave
to make
the
up
office.
his mind.
And what this will do for us, because if you know the power of influence in politics, you can imagine that you have delegates, and these are the political appointees, and that means the executive will surround themselves with political appointees, whether they are necessary for the development of the country or not, for the purpose of electioneering. We don't want that. We want equity that supports the interest of the people.
But when you say we don't want that, part of, I won't say problem, part of the situation is that a court of the land has said that that is indeed what we want, because that's what judges are all about. They are interpreting not for themselves. They are looking at all the facts before them and are coming up with decisions, judgments for the better organization and governance of society. So as far as the law is concerned, and the court that indeed made this happen. This is what Nigerians want. But I was referring to the commonsensical approach that the ordinary Nigerian, seems to understands things by. And once you go into law school, of course, they'll tell you the finer aspects of details. It might not, be clear to us unlearned people. But what he has just said, even as a learned gentleman, is what most Nigerians will say, simpliciter. It's not rocket science. But the court said no.
Yeah, but we're talking about the fact that as a people, we have not had it well. In recent times, we've had very strong challenges in the security sphere. This is something that is in the face of everyone. I think we have gotten to a point that we need to start to think of how best we can do this so that we can get the best deal for Nigerians. If we need to have people resign, whatever the law says, so that we can have the best hands governing us, getting into office, particularly considering how badly we have done.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be rocket science. I don't think we're at a point where we have the liberty to hold firmly to the law, even at the expense of the fact that we all see that we have not done well in choosing, in voting in getting the best hands into office. Because it is clear that if you do not resign, like my brother have explained, that look, it's simple. There's no, you have the power to bring in people to turn the table, to favor you, and does that favor the people? That's the question on the table. Because right now, the people need the best candidate, the best hand, to be the one occupying the office so that Nigeria can get the best deal.
And that's probably part of the problem. Come back to discuss it because we have a call on the line. As I said, we'll come back and discuss it because you're delving into the area of meritocracy.
Yes.
And we've heard that meritocracy, we're not ready for that yet. We're not developed enough for that. Meritocracy will just cancel out all sorts of small things that we take very, very importantly.
It's about our lives now because it is bordering on security and we're dying every day.
But it is what it is, unfortunately. Mr. Ibe, did I get that right?
Yes, good morning, Uncle Yeri.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, you see what we are discussing about the Electoral Clause. It is not possible for us to be going front and back. This law that anybody who is a political appointee or civil servant who wants to contest elections must first of all resign his position. It has been there before. This one they are doing now with the Malami, with the Attorney General trying to have his way. It cannot happen. The court in Omaya that gave this judgment and told him to expunge that position is quite wrong. The court doesn't make law and they cannot tell the Attorney General to expunge that position. So if the National Assembly is challenging that portion, they are very, very correct to do it. The Attorney General, if he wants to contest the election and become a candidate, he should resign. How from people can resign and then another appointment will be made? They cannot muzzle their power on the other people. They have to make a level playing ground. The president asking them to explain that position is probably very wrong.
Okay.
Please let us do this right in this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I said that she was bordering on that whole concept of meritocracy. And interestingly, we had a different topic yesterday, but I think the matter came up that, look, if only we would base everything on merit. I see you smile right there, knowing that, are you talking about us here in Nigeria? Because we know that meritocracy is what it is. It's not what we employ. We know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. And so these are part of the issues of in trying to maintain the status quo, perhaps, is why they're pushing all of this.
Onkiri, I studied the magic wand of Lee Kuan Yew, who translated Singapore from a little coastal poor region to one of the best places to live and work in the world today.
But the man was not hampered unduly by democracy.
he didn't go for democracy at
That's
all,
what I'm
and
saying.
he didn't hide it.
So I wonder how fair a comparison. I wonder how fair a comparison it is going to be.
Meritocracy was one of the card he played on the table for him to succeed. Meritocracy is simply respecting the rule of law, doing things the way they should be done to achieve results, setting smart goals that you can achieve. And now, when we talk about meritocracy, the same people who rushed to court to nullify the amendment of the Electoral Act within 2 months have failed to name or even prosecute a single out of about 500 sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria. So what is the meritocracy? You see, so and that is why some of us are watching and amused by what is going on. And UAE, that is not even a direct victim of terrorism, already convicted 6 sponsors of Boko Haram. The United States mentioned some names recently. You see, so whose interest is on the table? That's the big point. Recently, we had a train attack in Nigeria. How many of those terrorists have been arrested? How many? They are even communicating, challenging the government, that the government knows what they want. You know, so we really need to understand, and we have this common saying in law, that those who are priests in the temple of justice must ensure that justice is advanced. And we were taught that justice should not only be done, but clearly seen to have been done. Indeed. So are you doing justice to Nigeria? Okay. Except we have a different definition of democracy. Well,
Fidel in Owerri. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning. You see, the truth is that majority of Nigerians will want these appointees and even civil servants to resign before they contest whatever they want to contest. They are definitely in support of this law. But why I am also urging the National Assembly to appeal, even as they have done, is for us to stop undue influence of the decisions of the National Assembly by the judiciary. In judiciary, giving some of these judgments, they should also consider the feelings of the people. But my worry is this: National Assembly should have come out with this Electoral Act some months ago. So it should not be too sudden for political appointees and the civil servants. I think for now it is too sudden to ask somebody, give third person under 1 month or even at the primaries now, to resign after which 180 days elections. What will the person be doing? Thank you and God bless you. I'm Fidel Onyeneke.
Thank you very much for calling in, Fidel. Yeah, so look, democracy, I mean, meritocracy is what it is. So let's just leave that to one side, not spend too much time on it, because it's not in our character. You get what I mean? Because sometimes that can get in the way. In fact, I think from the realm that Jide was quoting from, but perhaps, you know, slightly away from that, I think it was in China. There was a leader there that said, it doesn't matter whether the cat is black or white, so as long as it can catch mice, you know. But that's not what we say here. We don't follow that principle here. What do you mean? It matters. It matters. The color of the cat matters.
It is not, you see, Nigeria is not standing alone. We're living in the world. Now, for instance, apart from our security issues, right now there's a war in Ukraine. We're supposed to be benefiting from it. But because we have refused to deal or expressly accept the fact that if it's white, it's white, if it's black, it's black, we're missing out. We're supposed to be supplying gas. We're unable to, because we don't even have enough for ourselves. We were flaying it away at some point. Now that we have an opportunity to earn good money from it, we're unable to earn good money from it. We're buying diesel. We're buying this finished product that we ought to be refining here. Agricultural produce. These are meant to be our strength if people had done their jobs. Look, it is not a matter of whether we accept it or not. It's a matter of the fact that that supposed country that we have, or thought we had, if we do not do something fast about doing things right, like the rest of the world is doing, it's fast eroding. We're killing ourselves, we're destroying ourselves, things are failing on a daily basis, and we better be conscious of the fact that it is about time that, so whether it is supposedly merit or not, Bottom line is there's only a way out of getting things right, and we must do that. Yes, whether it is Nigerian, so somebody say, oh, African time. If you keep adhering to a particular way of doing things, you will fail, and at the end of the day, you yourself will be expunged out of the whole matter. And we are getting very close to that. What happened in Kaduna is something that ought not to have happened, and we can't afford to fold our hands and allow it to continue. This is the time to change the narrative.
I think. Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yes.
But, and also apologies to Bernard. Bernard in Enugu. I was just going to come to you, but we lost the call. We'll go on break, come back and continue, and hopefully take more of your calls. Bernard, maybe you can call in again. Stay with us, please. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us if you've just arrived. Mr. Yakubu, are you still on the line? He called in earlier.
Much on the line, sir.
Oh!
Hello.
God bless you, Mr. Yakub.
Yeah.
Good morning to you, sir. Please go ahead now.
Good morning once again, and then good morning to your guests.
Yes.
We do respect to the last caller that says that national this before now. I think there is no specific time to do the right thing. That's my own position. And then the National Assembly have done the right thing at this time around. Well, in our own dialect, there is a word says that you cannot just hold one position and then still looking for another. When you have that one in your hand, you still want to collect another one. So if you are a minister and then you are a political office holder and then you still hire another office in the front. So why can't you drop the one that you have now and then fight for that? Because the reason is this: do you know all these political office holders, especially the minister and all that, when they go to contest for the political offices, they have upper hand than somebody that does not own any office. They will carry police up and down. Let me give you a typical example. If I wake up tomorrow now, and then the Nigerian government decided, the government that I support so much, decided to fight this war with technology, I'll be very happy, because we can't win this war without fighting it with the technology. Because I've said it earlier, I think on Wednesday, the same program. If the Nigerian government wake up tomorrow and tell Nigerian citizens that this war against Boko Haram, we are going to fight it with technologies. I can tell within 1 month we can win that war, because the technology will tell you exactly where these people are. Even though Jide Ologun always say this, he always mention their name and the camp. Are you telling me the Nigerian government does not know them, does not hear this? So basically what I'm trying to say in essence is that the National Assembly have done the right thing. They should fight back. They should fight it on. They should make sure that this law has come to stay. Good morning and God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yakubu, in particular for staying on all that while. Yeah, exactly. Yakubu brings up a point that we all know about. People can't understand why this war has been this war against terrorists. Recently, the presidency has begun to use the word. For a long time, the word wasn't used. We're talking about banditry. Now, we're hearing all sorts that what is the difference between terrorists and bandits in our Nigerian situation anyhow. And not very many Nigerians believe that this war that is looking intractable, that it is indeed so. They believe that the government is not giving it its all. To be fair, government, including Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information, who was here, I think, yes, on Monday, he says people, and we've heard from experts, he said that is not the case. We've heard from experts who have continuously told us that, well, the thing is that this is not a conventional war, and the army, the Nigerian army, is not going to win. It's not trained in that way. So we hear all these excuses, but look, if there is a will to wipe out Boko Haram once and for all, it can be done. But then you and I know, going back to this whole problem of an aspect of meritocracy, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Because we've heard, among other things, that, well, you see, these are Nigerians as well. These are Nigerians as well, and so on and so forth. So where is that Lee Kuan Yew thing that you were talking about? I said the man didn't have democracy to worry about.
It's quite interesting. I read a report today that about 6 police officers may be dealt with for planning to go on strike, and they were tracked by tele-device, and we cannot track the terrorists. It's amazing. Seyi Gumi said that the government knows where the...
Did you say Seyi Gumi?
Sheikh.
Make the case sound though.
Yeah, pardon me. At least a renowned cleric told the world, not just Jide Ologun, that the government knows where they are. They know who they are. I think the governor of Kaduna even made an insinuation to that. But are they willing to win this war? And I have said, by way of monitoring trends and comparing those, in Afghanistan, Taliban started the same way Boko Haram started in Nigeria, by Mohammed Omar. And between, I think, 1994 and 1996, they started their insurgency. Between 1996 and 2001, they held about 3/4 of Afghanistan until US came to dislodge them. Recently, that nation caved in to the Taliban.
Indeed.
And now, Kaduna, that is the strong base of the military power of Nigeria, is like a toy in the hands of terrorists.
Well,
and Niger State, the governor is screaming that about 12 states out of 25, 12 local governments out of 25 are under the control of bandits. Let me say use their bandits. And what is the kilometer between Niger State and the federal capital? I'm advising Nigerians, particularly the National Assembly. You see, the insecurity of one is the insecurity of all.
Indeed.
There will only be a National Assembly, there is peace in this
land. I can't delay Kesandu much longer. Good morning, Mr. Kesandu in Owerri, and apologies for keeping you waiting. We had to find a juncture.
It's fine. All we're saying is for the growth and development of the country. Good morning, Uncle Yuri, and to the guests there.
Good morning, sir.
Please, I am particularly interested in the issue of the Electoral Act. It has been on my mind to talk about it. Uncle Yuri, you see, at this point of our lives as Nigerians and as a country, it is quite unfortunate and disheartening that some persons are allowing their personal interest to override the best interest of the general country. It is so disheartening. See, the problem we're having is that the leaders of today in Nigeria do not see leadership as a call to serve. Okay, you cannot aspire to become anything in this country and you're still occupying a position. One, campaigning, consultation, going about canvassing for votes is enough to distract you. And the Nigeria we have today that we're trying to put things in the right perspective do not need such distraction. As someone who wants an appointee who wants to run for election, it is just responsible of you to throw in the door because it's the same service you're intending to do. I appeal to the conscience of the leadership of this country. They should take this thing seriously. They should not allow their personal interests override the interest of the entire Nigeria. The truth about it is that someday, somehow, we're going to get this thing right. It is just unfortunate that they have actually made this whole thing so expensive that some persons cannot lay their hands on, which the National Assembly can actually pull down the cost of governance in this country. They can actually bring down even these things we're doing in the Electoral Act. I expected that the nomination forms and all these things, they could bring it down. We could get the right persons that could fix this thing. Even this insecurity we're talking about is a result of failed leadership. If we get a good leadership in this country, we end the insurgency in this country. They're not greater than Nigerians. Remember what the head of state once said in this country, that the insurgency lost for more than 24 hours. We know who is responsible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, by the way, all of this that we're talking about is because the news report is out there that the National Assembly is preparing to approach the courts by way of appealing what the Attorney General's office got for the administration, which is exactly what the President wanted, take out Section 84, subsection 12. So the National, unfortunately, I think I can say it now, we won't be able to be joined by Senator Bashiru this morning, as I had promoted earlier. He usually does come on, but it's not, it won't happen this morning. You know, matters of state and all of that, the man is very busy, even though we had an arrangement, we had an appointment with him. But of course, in matters of state, the state will take precedence. So we won't be having Senator Bashiru. But we're in between you at home and what we're saying in studio here, I imagine that they need our input. It's like most people seem to be with the National Assembly, from what I've heard, although it's hard to call, the people that have called in a statistical sample, but at least we get a general idea that the National Assembly is right on track. Go fight this thing.
So at the end of the day, I mean, like we keep saying, it was supposed to be an amendment. That was the pursuit. They went on and on and on for the mode of election, for electing representative, before that was expunged, before we now got to this point. And one begins to ask oneself, whose agenda is the executive pursuing? If it is clear that at the end of the day, you're making it difficult to get our best foot in the field. Because at the end of the day, look, whether we like it or not, it is not that this assembly has been very popular with the people. People are just happy that at least this time around, they're pursuing an agenda that seems to be on the side of the people. And what is on the side of the people? The thing is, we want to have our best candidate taking office, because it is clear that if you don't understand and you don't have the capacity or capability to deliver, what you do is you don't only deplunge our economy, you expose us to danger. People will be killed. People cannot go on rail. People cannot go on road. People cannot fly. It cannot continue to happen. We must ensure that whoever is occupying whatever office, no matter how small the office is, are people who understand the dynamics, who understand the responsibility, who understand the amount of work that needs to be done, so that whenever they start to do this work, Nigerians will benefit, Nigeria's life will be secured, the economy will be protected. Because look, I don't understand how as a people we're standing here and all of this is happening in our faces as regards our economy. I am pained, I am worried that once again we are unable to take advantage of what is happening in Ukraine, I mean right now, as regards taking advantage of, doing the supply. And recently they were joking, that they would put up a law. Meanwhile, you're into a partnership, and the owners of the business are saying this is the way we want to go about our gas. And the Nigerian, I hear the Minister of State is saying no, that they are not going to agree. I'm sure they've forgotten that it's not something they can legislate on, that it's a business matter.
Okay. Mazi Okorafo, Yenaro Chukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayedi. Good morning, our guests in the studio. You see, Sayedi and our guests.
Good morning.
Resign or no resign, to me, all this is just step aside. If they say resign at the still story of this election, according to the National Assembly, they should try as much as possible, all those people vying for these offices that have resigned, the gas, the principal should do what? Employ people to take over that job. Then I will know that realization has meaning. But if they don't employ anybody within that period, that means you just step aside. Now, the way we are moving between the courts that we normally talk in the Constitution of the Federal Republic and the Court of Law and everything, that the court is final post. But at the end of the day, the court in Nigeria now is trying to make things start up and down. You saw what happened yesterday. Banning of media not to cover terrorism. That was notwithstanding. We are looking at that issue of the way they say House of Assembly. You see, when you compare all these judgments, you see that you don't know. Are they following the Constitution of the Federal Republic, or the judge sit down, decide whatever he wants, and push it to the Nigerians? How can you say to but look, if you go and read the book of Jeremiah 20 verse 10, when you finish the studio, everybody should go and pick it. Jeremiah 20 verse 10 says, terrorism is what we strength. It has already been quoted. Nobody on earth will say that he was alive when they wrote that story in the Bible. That terrorism is waste strength and denounce it. In as much as how do we denounce this terrorism? Let's bring it into it. Is it not the media that will help us? If the media are not there, how would we know? That my guest just talking about Ukraine and Russia and stuff. Ukraine and Russia have come to stay. The question now, let us pray so that the war will end quick. Because the war don't end with linger till December. When all these ones we are talking about is just rigmarole. But the question is this: The Court of Justice, Nigerian Court, whether federal or supreme or appeal, please, the judges, do the needful. What we have in the Constitution. You know that somebody who read management. If you are an authority in management, you have not read that book written by Peter Drucker, the world management scientist, then you are not a product of what? Management students. So that is why the same thing that has to do with the judiciary. The judges follow the Constitution, do what the Constitution is talking. Not when you see that, you bring out the one that you throw. Because how will you tell us how to assemble? Omar from there, they say go back. That's it. Okay. Honestly speaking, the judges and the distributing it. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okorafor. Even the process that the Attorney General, has spearheaded and executed, that was, is it what you lawyers call ex parte? That is to say, they went there alone, almost like in the middle of the night, metaphorically speaking, when the National Assembly was sleeping. Again, metaphorically speaking, because all people are in bed in the middle of the night. They went there. Doesn't that immediately say to you that there's something afoot? Because ideally, why would you, first of all, why do people go ex parte? That is to say, judge go and don't tell the other party that I'm taking the matter to court.
We have said it that globally, ex parte order is legitimate. When you have an urgent matter and you want to prevent further harm, and it ties with once there is a will, there is a way. So it is important to the executive. So they rushed through an independent party. We don't have time to discuss that.
Yes.
And that is why the National Assembly is really engaging to ensure they appeal the appropriate will, because if you look at the provisions of Section 243 of the Constitution 1999 as amended, for you to appeal, you must do this. And, and the point here now is that if the insecurity in Nigeria is important to the government, there we go. So when it's important to you, you go through all maneuvers. And here we are now. I just want to advise the judiciary. Right now, the judiciary, which is my primary constituency, is under the spotlight. And we must make sure that we present that arm of government as one that can be relied upon and that the integrity is upheld in the nation, because politicians have a very special way of discrediting the system.
Thank you very much. Ada has been waiting for a long while. Good morning, Ada in Jos.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Yuri and your guests there.
Yes, thank you.
I'm happy the lawyer there has said that the judiciary is under the spotlight. They are really under the spotlight. Because I can't understand how, if I'm a judge and I get that this and said I have sacked this governor, and then another one says he's not sacked. At the end of the day, if the other one that said he is not sacked wins, I will even resign. I'm telling you. So it's a big blow on the person. Is it that you don't even study your books before you make pronouncements? It's really unfortunate. Anyway, for me, the political appointees want to eat their cake and have it. Even though I'm not a lawyer, with the analysis put out there by lawyers, I'm convinced Section 84:12 is very clear. There is a clear distinction between a civil servant and a political appointee. So for me, there is no confusion there for anyone who believes in equity, justice, and fair play. Anybody who is objective will not make a fuss about it. Those that they have helped should learn to put national interest above personal interest. Even if there seems to be a confusion there, can't they follow due process to even amend it? Now this idea of saying giving the Attorney General or whatever, whoever, the opportunity, say you can expand it with T-Flex or what? Or is it with eraser? I don't understand it, honestly. Let them stop making a mockery about democracy. It's really unfortunate. As for insecurity you're talking about, I've told you times about other people. The problem is not equipment or anything. The problem is political will. They don't want to do it. The other day, only 2 days back, I couldn't believe my ears. They were happy. They said so many have repented. They are waiting for more. That means they know what they are doing. But it's considered all of us today. Let's not give up on this country.
Thank you very much for calling in, Ada in Jos. We've run out of time, actually, but then in terms of this stage of the discourse, we've said just about all that can be said. We'll wait and see how the National Assembly hide fares in this journey it has embarked upon. That it would appear a lot of Nigerians, including Ada who called in last, saying, right on, just proceed in that way. We're going to leave it there for now. Mr. Jide Ologun. I know there's a heck of a lot more in there that needs to be said. Thank you very much, for bringing out the one that is fitting in this program. Jide Ologun, legal practitioner and public affairs analyst.
Thank you. And God bless Nigeria.
Indeed. Amen to that. And also to you, Seyi Adeyemo, journalist and publisher. Thank you very much for coming on the program as well.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed, that's our pleasure. So that's our program today. Please join us for the next edition, which is on a Monday. And do have a great weekend. Yori Folari. Bye-bye for now.